Your community, he says, can be a better place to live if you fear God.
Dr. Tony Evans talks about what can happen when we're willing to make our faith more fruitful.
And when all of us fear God, then life becomes productive. It's not wasted.
This is The Alternative with Dr. Tony Evans, author, speaker, senior pastor of Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship in Dallas, Texas, and president of the Urban Alternative. People search their whole lives for some sense of significance. Too many never find it. Today, Dr. Evans explains why that's a blessing reserved for people who take God seriously. Let's join him.
The particular blessing that is highlighted in Psalm 128 for those of us who fear God in general and men who fear God in particular is the blessing of productivity. God says that there will be spiritual productivity. You will have a productive life if you fear God. One of the ways God will bless you is by making your life productive. He names 3 things in your personal life, talking about you, if you fear God, 3 things that will be taking place personally. First of all, he says, you will eat the fruit of your hands. You will enjoy the reward of your labor. That's what that means. To eat the fruit of your hands is to enjoy the reward of your labor. Many of us are living unproductive lives because we sense very little reward in the work in which we are engaged. Not that every day on every job is going to be the perfect day, but what God says the blessing is that, notice this, you will be happy. See, most folk aren't happy. And because most folk aren't happy, they settle for momentary glimpses of delight, momentary snatches of entertainment or whatever, because they need something out here because they don't have much in here. But God says the blessing that follows the one who fears him, where they actually live in the living room, where he is the centerpiece, is that they will enjoy the fruit of their labor. They will be happy, watch this, and it will go well with them. I can break those down into 3 words. God will look after your fortune, your feelings, and your future. It will go well with you. Nothing is more exciting to me than looking forward to the future. In the Bible, it says, though the outward man decays, though we all getting older, slower, weaker, wrinklier, whole bunch of stuff. He says the inward man is renewed day by day. There ought to be an expectation. He said, but the way you get that is that's a blessing from God, he says. And that's a blessing from God to those who reverence him, honor him, fear him. In other words, to have this personal fulfillment, let's use that word, everybody today wants to be fulfilled. In order to have this personal fulfillment in your life, God no longer can function on loop 635. You know what a loop circles the city. They're close enough to give you access, far enough so you're not bothered with downtown traffic. It's a loop. See, a lot of us have God on the loop of our lives. Close enough to look respectable, but far enough not to be bothered with. But he says to those who fear God, who make him the centerpiece. I think I may have told you that time where I had to go to Walmart to get some stuff, and I wanted to go there, and I wanted to be the first one there, because if it's a mart, I don't want to be there. I got up early, hit Walmart, and the parking lot was full. I've never been so irritated in my life. I get up thinking I'm getting there early, and the parking lot is full. I get in a long line, and I'm trying to figure out how this place is so full so early. On this particular day, at this particular Walmart, there was a store-wide sale. And it dawned on me as I stood in line, that's our problem today. Everybody wants to show up with God when he's on sale. As long as he comes at reduced prices, low expectations, we'll shop there. We'll come to church when nothing is expected. But the moment he comes at full price, the parking lot gets empty. He says, blessed is everyone who positions God in the position that he demands and deserves because he is God. So first of all, there's personal benefit to fearing God, personal productivity in your life. But secondly of all, he says there's productivity in your family. Verse 3. He says to the man first who fears God, his wife becomes a fruitful vine. Now notice the word becomes. That means a process of productivity. In other words, because he's fruitful, he makes her fruitful. He says not only does he have a productive mate, he says he raises productive children. Your children will be like olive plants around your table. Please don't misread that. He didn't say olive trees. He said olive plants. Why? Because they haven't grown up yet. It takes 15 years for an olive plant to become an olive tree. It takes time for plants to become trees. He's talking about developing olive plants in the olive trees so that children will become productive. Now, I believe this is the secret for every man. You've heard me say it to our men time and time again. Let me say it again. The way a Jewish father managed his home was around the table. That's what it says. He says, around the table. Now, the problem today is we have a generation of olive plants without access to an olive tree. Not around the table. We have children who grow up who don't get to see a father, or might as well not see the one they're looking at. So they are not developed and their roots don't run deep because men are not around the table. Even if it's 2 nights a week, hopefully it's more, but however many nights it can be, or breakfast, or whenever, mister, you got to be around that table. A man can run his home an hour and a half a day if he's at the table. All you got to do is be at the table. Because a Jewish father did not sit at the table just to eat. The table was for him to run the home. So at the table, while eating, he would have family devotions. At the table, while eating, he would make sure things were okay in school. At the table, while eating, he would raise the question, have you fulfilled your responsibilities that your mother has given you? At the table, he would give directions for where the family is going and headed. He would simply sit at the table. And for 1 hour and a half or however long it lasted. But the problem today is we sit at the table, eat, watch television, and we do all this other stuff rather than raise olive plants around your table. And so today we have a generation of children who aren't at the table. Our hectic schedules have kept us from the table, and while some of that cannot be helped, the father must insist that certain times are non-negotiable. For this is when our family comes together, and I give leadership and direction. See, mister, what you have to understand is whether you feel like a leader or not, you are one. It's like whether you feel like you're a man or not is an irrelevant issue. Now you got to live up to the responsibility that comes with the designation. And we must raise a generation up who can do the same thing. So he says, raising fruitful children. I was asked by a leading citizen in our community yesterday, are we going to make it? And he was referring to what we're seeing today with this generation. And he says, we're in trouble. And we are. We're opening up this Family Crisis Pregnancy Center because 7 out of every 10 African American children are born to a single parent. Now, if 70% of your children don't have a daddy in the picture, that's a disaster. That's not a cold, that's pneumonia. And it's even rising in the Anglo community where it's 4 out of 10. So it's rising on all sectors. Men have become like the abominable snowman. Their footprints are everywhere, we just can't find them. He says there's productivity in your personal life. That's for everybody. Blessed is everyone. It says it's in your family. Then he says, blessed shall the man be who is blessed. How? Because he fears the Lord. That is, this divine reverence for God infiltrates all that he does. The third area, he says, the Lord bless you from Zion. There are 4 areas. The third area, he says, the Lord bless you from Zion. So he's still talking about blessing. The Lord bless you from Zion. We talk about Zion. Zion is one of those big words in the Bible. One of those just all-gripping concepts in the Bible. Zion was the location of God. God had a mountain called Zion, Mount Zion. That was the holy mountain. On the holy mountain is a city called Zion. That's the holy city, Jerusalem. On the holy mountain, in the holy city, was the holy place called Zion. That was the temple. The Lord bless you from Zion. The temple was the place where a father took his family to worship God. On the Sabbath, the father took his family. Now let me explain how this worked. It was inconceivable in the Bible that a Jewish mother would wake up a Jewish father and ask him, are you going to Zion today? A Jewish man would be viewed as less than a man if he wasn't leading the way for his family to go to Zion. Why? Because Zion was the centerpiece of their lives. Zion wasn't something you did extra. Zion was the core. That was where the temple was. That was where the hangout of God was. That's Zion. The New Testament Zion is the church. Hebrews chapter 12 says, when believers come to worship, they come to Mount Zion. On any given Sunday morning, there are 13 million more women in church than men. That is a recent statistic. Apart from the top tier of leadership in most churches, women are dependent upon to do virtually everything because men are hard to find. Now, women are essential. Women are critical. They've been given gifts and talents and skills that are absolutely necessary. But what women aren't are men. There are a lot of great things, but what they aren't is men. He says, the Lord bless you from Zion. Why? Because when Zion is in its right place, when men have feared God to the place where they have positioned themselves under God and brought their families with them. He says, the Lord bless you from Zion. Now, what is he saying? He's saying certain things when you fear God, he'll do for you personally. But other things he won't do until he sees you at Zion. Because Zion meant you understood you were connected with something bigger. See, Zion was bigger than your own family. Zion was a community. It was the Jewish community. It meant we belong to something bigger. We belong to a group who think like we think, believe like we believe, act like we act. We belong to something bigger.
Dr. Evans will come back in a moment with a familiar example of what the concept of Zion is all about. First, a quick reminder that today's message is part of Tony's current series, The Blessings of Taking God Seriously. This 8-lesson collection focuses on the changes you can expect to see in your life when you invest more attention and energy in your relationship with the Lord. If you're not experiencing God's power and presence the way you once did, this study will lead you through the process of spiritual restoration and refreshment. So for a limited time, we're offering this sermon set as our gift. All we ask in return is that you make a donation, any donation, to help us keep Tony's teaching on this station. So call us at 1-800-800-3222 or visit tonyevans.org today to get your copy of The Blessings of Taking God Seriously before time runs out. I'll have our contact information for you again later on after Dr. Evans brings us part 2 of today's lesson.
You know what Zion is for most men? A great illustration of the Zion concept for men is football. Now, when there is a football game, a 3-hour football game, he will only miss the opening kickoff if it's unavoidable. He's going to be there. He's got his favorite pew in the den, and nobody else better sit in it. And he will sit there for 3 hours and not complain that church is going on too long. He ain't gonna raise his finger and do that. Because he has a high regard for whoever his team is. And if perchance the game goes in overtime, he ain't gonna be looking at his watch and saying this service sure is going long, because of the value that he holds for his team. And he's not going to just sit there either. He's going to be engaged. He's going to say, oh, man, yeah! Did you see that? He is engaged because that team on his screen is worthy of his respect. But let me ask you, what have those players done for you lately? They don't know your name. That's going to speak to you if you walk down the street. In fact, you're looking to them to help your manhood. That's why you buy a shirt with their number on it. But God got you up this moment. God has supported you. God has sustained you. Without God, there would be nothing. So you know how to visit Zion. You know how to visit Zion on time. You know how to visit Zion and be committed. You know how to visit Zion and be engaged because you decide it's worthy. When God sees a man like that, he says that man is blessed. Finally, he talks about public blessing, social blessing. You will see the prosperity, productivity, the prosperity of Jerusalem. That's the community, the city. All the days of your life, indeed, you will see your children's children. Peace be upon Israel. That's the whole nation. That word peace, shalom, means wholeness. In the Bible, it doesn't mean just feeling okay. Peace in the Bible, shalom, means life in order. A non-chaotic life. That's what peace means. He says, you will see the prosperity of Jerusalem all the days of your life. You will see the place where you live being a better place to live if you fear God. And he says you'll see your children's children, that's your grandchildren. This means that you take your place in the marketplace. The prosperity of Jerusalem, that you are in the marketplace. You are where people live and work and play. And you are a contributing member of society. You're not a leech, you are a contributor. You're making a difference. There used to be a time when a boy who got a girl pregnant felt a responsibility, if not the responsibility to marry, at least the responsibility to take care of that baby. You can't have a productive society when you have a bunch of baby makers who aren't willing to be baby raisers. You just create in society an unproductive society that devolves and spirals downhill. And the social payback that you have for that are prisons, or social welfare, crime, delinquency, truancy, academic failure, and a generation of unproductive kids. That's why, see the kids who come to this church, we tell them all, you going to college. Now we know 100% won't go, but they don't know that. You're going to be productive. You should be telling them that at home. Even if you're a single parent, you should be telling them that at home. You gonna make something of yourself. You are going to be a productive person. A principal called us. He said, "Now we got a gang problem, and it's really messing stuff up here, and this thing is going to become real chaotic." Okay, all gangs are frustrated boys with nothing to do. All right. So we said, okay, bring all the boys into the auditorium. So he shut the school down. I went over there with 25 of our men. We come into school, and we go to the auditorium, and our men line the aisles. I stand up and basically give an address that basically says, you're going to stop being fools here and define what a man is and how a man functions. Try to give him a different vision of manhood than the gang activity was good. He said at the end, this is one address, one time with a certain look. He said at the end of that thing, that gang activity stopped. Now, that was no big deal. All those kids needed to do was see something different. We walked in with ties and suits and we said, hey, you've been called to be more than a gangbanger. You've been called to be a real man. And all our kids need to do is see something different. The problem is what they seeing is television, their friends, their peer groups. And if you hang out with a fool, it won't be long before you become one. But he says when a man fears God, he can even make his community a better place to live, work, play. And when all of us fear God, then life becomes productive. It's not wasted. So my challenge to you today is, whatever time you have left, don't let it be wasted. Position God as the centerpiece of your life and the reference for all of life. And watch him make life productive.
Making God the centerpiece of your life starts by committing yourself to a personal relationship with him through Jesus Christ. If you're not completely sure what that means, drop by TonyEvans.org today. Click on the menu at the top and choose the link that says Jesus. There, Tony will explain it clearly and walk you through what to do next. You'll also find some free resources to get your new life started off right. Don't wait. Drop by TonyEvans.org today. While you're there, don't miss your last chance to pick up your copy of Tony's current CD collection, The Blessings of Taking God Seriously. As I mentioned earlier, all 8 full-length messages in this collection are yours as our thank you gift when you make any contribution to help keep the alternative coming your way. This offer runs out soon, so don't wait. Contact us today at TonyEvans.org or call our Resource Center at 1-800-800-3222, where team members are available day or night to help you. That's 1-800-800-3222. Well, you'd have a hard time finding a worker who wouldn't want to collect the wages he earned, unless you happen to be talking about the wages of sin. Tomorrow, Dr. Evans talks about what we all want, mercy, and why it's only reserved for a particular group of people. Be sure to join us. The Alternative with Dr. Tony Evans is brought to you by the Urban Alternative and is made possible by the generous contributions of listeners like you.